Okay, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
So we'll continue with the topic. Take page number 196 again. This topic is test administration. Okay, test administration. And in the introductory part of that section, we have the RAPO, establishing RAPO, something we've already discussed. Now, another question. What all things are to be noted when we establish RAPO? Or why are we establishing RAPO? What is the need of establishing RAPO?
The person can feel more open up.
Yes, the participant or the respondent, or we call them subject, they can feel more comfortable, so they can open up. Okay, comfortable, comfort. The participant's comfort is one factor. Then
It makes the therapy more effective.
makes the therapy more effective. Okay, just consider the case of psychological testing. In that case, one factor is improving or increasing the comfort. You can't see the board, isn't it? Wait. What about now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So increasing the comfort of the participant. Then what all things are we focusing on other than the comfort of participant? What are the other needs? What did you say now? What was your point?
To create a comfortable space for the
After that, I think Elvina told something, right?
To make the therapy more effective.
Therapy more effective. If we are thinking from a therapeutic perspective, then yes, to make the therapy more effective. Yes. So here we can consider the test more effective, isn't it? To make the test more effective and applicable. So increase the effectiveness of test. Effectiveness or efficiency of the test. Then what else? What else? If we are administering a test, we are establishing rapport with the subject. Why is it useful? It helps to dash. There are so many to fill in the blank sentence completion test. So you think an answer. One is to increase the comfort of the participant or the subject, to increase the efficiency or effectivity or effectiveness of the test. Then, what other things would it increase and decrease? Think like that.
get more details about the client.
So, increase details. Yes, we are likely to get more details because they'll open up more, isn't it? Okay, so details, we'll get more details. We are likely to get more details from the participants if the rapport is established properly. Then what else? Think.
Helps to know their preference.
Sorry?
Know their preference. It helps to know their preference.
Preferences. Yes. More information regarding preferences. No preferences of people. And basically about their likes and dislikes, isn't it? Yes. When we establish rapport, we come to know people more. Okay, then. Along with preference, there is a word that we learned. Remember? The previous chapters, chapters 1, 2, and 3.
Interest.
Interest, yes, it helps to increase the interest of the participant or the subject in the test or in the subject. Okay, when you establish rapport and when you become more friendly, they seem to be interested in doing this test if you establish rapport properly. Okay, because you have to introduce the test in such a way that it sounds interesting. Yes, then. Any other point?
We'll be able to know the correct part where we have to do the treatment.
Yes, that is also right. That's even more important in the therapeutic relationship when we establish rapport in the therapeutic relationship. Here in academic testing and the other normal psychological testing, that's not much taken into account. Okay, in therapy, yes, of course, that is very important. Anything else that you can think of? No. All right. Aishwarya, please start reading. Test administration.
Test administration.
Hmm.
The accuracy of psychological testing comes from standardization of testing conditions, materials, procedures, and norms which form an integral part of test development, its administration and interpretation. In this process, it is expected that students will develop skills to establish rapport with the test takers to make them comfortable in a relatively new and different context.
Yes, that we already discussed to increase the comfort of the participant or the subject. The participant is also called the subject. They are also called the respondents. They are also called the test takers. Okay, so all this means the same. Then continue.
Establishing rapport involves the test administrator's effort to arouse the test takers' interest in the test, elicit their cooperation, and encourage them to respond in a manner appropriate to the objectives of the test.
Okay, so we can add one more point here to increase their cooperation. Sorry, to increase the cooperation. Okay, yes. So we can elicit responses from them. Elicit means we can get responses from them easily by establishing rapport. Okay, then.
The main objective of establishing rapport is to motivate the respondents to follow the instructions as fully and meticulously as they can.
Okay, so one more point. Increase their motivation. Whose motivation? Increase whose motivation?
The subjects.
The subjects or the respondents or the test takers motivation, so that they follow the instructions of the study or the test and then they respond accordingly. Okay, otherwise if they are not interested, if they are not motivated to do the test, then obviously they'll give some random answers and then they leave. That's what happens. That has happened. Okay, when we were doing research and if some of my friends had lack of participants. Like we have certain conditions, like if it is college students, then college students. If we are doing a study in elderly, then elderly. If we are doing only in a sample of this age group, then obviously they'll have to look for people in that age group. And if it is people with depression, then people with depression will become the sample. So when some people are approached, they'll run. When we are going with the questionnaires, they'll run. Oh my God, psychology students are coming. Please run. They have the research. They'll give us 5 and 6 pages of questionnaires. They'll run. I have seen people running. And my friends would be running after them. Please, only one questionnaire is there. Can you please fill in? But we should not actually do that. We should not force them, because if they are not interested, then we cannot ensure that the responses are true. Okay, so that's why we are focusing on the factor voluntary participation. We should not force them. Instead, by their own will, they have to come to us. And there are another set of people also who come to us. Are you doing a research? Can I be a part of the study? Some people ask like that, and that's very rare in Kerala, I'd say. I mean, as far as we have seen, it's very rare, because questionnaires and all, some people find it very boring, and some people are very much interested to know, to measure their psychological attribute. Okay, so that those people would come. Yeah, I think I had such an experience, like when I was doing my post graduation, and again we should arrange a subject on our own. Okay, like we should bring a subject for the examination, the practical examination. So we went to another department, and we were introducing this thing to them. And one girl came to me, and she told, yes, yes, I'll come. I'm free. I'll come. Of course, I'll come. And the thing is, after the study, she was pestering me. What is my result? What is my result? Did you interpret? Did you do that? Did you this? What is my score? How did I do? Did I do well? And so and so. And I was like, after a month or so, only I met her again, because we have different blocks. Like I had class in the new block, and she had in the old block, and we didn't know each other personally also. So obviously I had to establish rapport before the test. We have marks for that also. So obviously I had to do it. And she was like, she was looking so different also. I couldn't even recognize. I was asking, I was standing like this. Who are you? What are you doing here? What are you doing with me here? And I was like, and she was like, don't you remember I was a subject the other day? I was like, oh yeah. Fine, now I remember. And she was asking me about the score, and I told her the results are all submitted there, and after that only we'll get, and we escaped from that. We flew from that place. That's what happened. Okay. So we were talking about the motivation of the respondent. Okay, that's important. If they are motivated, if they are interested in the test only, they'll give their true responses. Otherwise, they'll just give fake responses, and they'll complete as soon as possible and then just leave. Okay. So that is important. Now continue.
It may be noted that the nature of the test, example individual, group, verbal or non-verbal, etc., and the age and other characteristics of the test takers determine the use of specific techniques for the establishment of rapport.
Hmm.
For example, while testing children from educationally disadvantaged backgrounds, the test administrator cannot assume that they will be motivated to do well on academic tasks. Therefore, in such conditions, the test administrator makes special efforts to establish rapport to motivate them.
Yes. Okay. So remember we learned about the personal factors. What was your topic, Aishwarya? Seminar topic.
Mine was about yoga.
Who took
Last.
on the topic, the 4 points? Was it Grishma? Yes. Okay. And the last point was regarding non-specific factors, isn't it? Yes. What were they? No. In general, what were they?
Therapist variables and patient variables.
Huh?
Therapist and patient variables.
Yes. Therapist variable and patient variables. Those factors influence the therapy, isn't it? Because the therapist motivation, therapist interest, therapist well-being, therapist psychological condition, therapist mood, all these might affect therapy. Similarly, the same things with the patient might also influence therapy. Just like that, in psychological tests also, the respondents variables like age, gender, sometimes caste and religion, other socio-demographic details, along with their motivation, their interest, all these things affect the test as a whole. Even the the test administrator, or the researchers, feelings, emotions, motivation, and all the personal variables also influence the test, the whole psychological test. Okay, so we have to take into account all these factors. We have to consider all these factors and then only establish a rapport according to that. Okay, fine. Then next paragraph, Raina. Amal, feeling sleepy? Okay.
Ma'am, from administration.
When establishing rapport, that part. Second paragraph, page 197.
When establishing rapport, the test administrator also informs the test takers about the confidentiality of the test data. The test taker is informed about the purpose of the test and how the test result will be used. The test taker is assured that such result would be kept strictly confidential and be available to third person. Ma'am, this line just faded away.
Even in my book, it is faded.
And the other two
And we
being
made available, yes, and the two being test administrator and test taker. And the
only
two
af-
being
only after the knowledge and consent of the test taker.
yeah.
test
So the third
administrator-
person means somebody other than the test taker and the test administrator. Okay, so if I'm conducting a test and if you're the participant, then other than both of us, another person. That is the third person here, third party. Okay, continue. Continue.
The test administration, therefore, is the task of the professionally trained and skillful person under controlled conditions. The following points may be kept in mind while using a test.
Okay, fine. So, do you know which principle we applied here? When she read all these merely visible words. Which school of psychology is that? With a famous tagline. In the chapter perception, we learned the principles also. Grishma? Gestalt, yes. We use the Gestalt psychology's principles here. Remember, even though some parts are available, we form the whole picture, isn't it? The whole word we could read. Only just even for certain words, just small dots are present, but we could make out the whole sentence, isn't it? That's where we apply Gestalt psychology. Okay. Okay. Now, the following 3 points have to be considered, or they have to be kept in mind while using a test. The first one is uniform testing conditions. Okay. The testing conditions have to be uniform. The second one is standardized instructions. Means you cannot give any instruction as and when possible. It should be standardized. Means for one test, if, for one test taker, you're giving this instruction, and another test taker, you cannot give a different instruction for the test. So test instruction should be standardized. Then training of test administrator. If you're administering a test, obviously you have to be well trained in the use of that test. Okay, especially for projective techniques and all, you require a lot of training. like Rorschach in blot test, sentence completion, then what else? What else? The TAT, thematic perception test, and all that. We require a lot of training in that. If we specialize in TAT itself, it's really difficult. So you can imagine how much or what level of training would be required to master that. Okay. Who will read? Mehak, start reading the first point. Uniform testing conditions.
Uniform testing conditions.
Hmm.
Basically, the function of psychological test is to measure differences between individuals or between the responses of the same individual on different occasions.
Hmm.
If the scores obtained by different individuals are to be compared, testing conditions must obviously be the same for all.
Hmm.
Attention should be given to the selection of the suitable testing room,
Hmm.
which should be free from undue noise and distraction.
Hmm.
This room should provide adequate lighting, ventilation, seating facilities, etc. for test takers.
Yes. So the room in which the test taker is sitting, that should have certain conditions. Like for certain tests, it should be noise free. Like if we are measuring the distraction of attention, then obviously we need a distraction. We need noises from, maybe the test taker will make a noise, or they'll create a not test taker, sorry, the test administrator will create noise or distractions when the test taker or the respondent is doing an activity. So depending on the test, it varies. Now, if you want to compare two scores of two different individuals, then the testing conditions should be uniform. Okay, like you should be tested, and if I'm selecting two of you, like Meghna and Sneha, and these are the test takers, and I'm assigning them a test or administering them a test, psychological test. Then if I'm comparing their scores, then that means all the factors should be the same for them. That is the test taking conditions. The test should be same. The instructions that I give them should be same. Okay, then only I can measure then only I can compare the scores of these two individuals. That's why it is said to be uniform testing conditions. Uniform testing conditions have to be maintained if you want to compare the scores of one individual with the other. Okay, next point. Amal, please read the next point. Second question. Sorry, second point. Standardized instructions. Yes, Amal Raj.
Standard instructions.
Mm.
In order to secure uniformity of testing conditions, the test constructor provides the details directions for administering the test.
Mm.
Standardized instructions include the exact material used, time limit, or instructions, subject, preliminary demonstration, the way of handling queries from subject, and other possible details of the testing situation.
Yes, a small point, but a lot of information, isn't it? Please underline that point. So standardized instructions means obviously the instructions that we provide to the test taker or the respondent have to be standardized. It should not be worded in such a way that most of the participants won't understand. It should be in a generalized fashion. The time, if it is a test which has a time limit, then that has to be informed, that has to be instructed. Then the method of responding, is it verbal response, is it marking a tick or a cross mark, or is it descriptive answers that you have to instruct them? Then the use of materials, what all materials are present before you, that has to be introduced. Then how to use them, that has to be introduced. Then if they have any query or if they have any doubt, you're free to clear them. In some tests you don't clear the queries. Clear the queries in the sense, whatever they understand, they have to do it that way. There are some tests like that. You won't give any more information on that test. Okay, then everything will be written in the manual, the lab manual of the particular test. Each test has a manual, the way it is to be standardized, the way it is to be scored, the way it is to be interpreted, everything will be given in that manual itself. So make sure that you understand the manual before conducting a test. Okay. And what else is given here? Ways of handling queries from subjects that I already told you. Then preliminary demonstrations that is present in the performance test basically. Like if they are provided with the building blocks and they are supposed to make a structure, then they'll be introduced or they'll be given an example. This is how to make it. Okay, so even before that, the test administrator has to know how to do it, and they have to show them this is the way how to do it. Okay, and that's it. Then other possible details of testing situation. What all are the other files? So depending on the test, there'll be other situations that you have to deal with. That also you have to know. So before administering a test, basically you have to know all about the test. Then only you can administer it. That's the main point. Okay. Now the next one, Meghna, read the next one. Third point.
Training of test administrator. The test administrator is the person who administers and scores the test.
Hmm.
The importance of a trained test administrator is evident. For instance, if the test administrator is not adequately qualified, incorrect or inaccurate score may render the test scores worthless.
Yes. Not
Yeah.
only the just a minute. Not only the inaccurate scores, the way they present or the way they administer the test might not be right if they are not trained well. Okay. Suppose they might not know if it is an untrained individual, they might not know that this is a test with a time limit. So they'll give plenty of time for this person to work and do the activity. So finally, the score will be very high from the standardized scores. That might not be even in the score list or the interpretation table. Okay, so the person has to be well qualified and well trained. Education qualification is not only important, the training is also important. Just having a degree or diploma or a post graduation or a specialization in this doesn't mean that the person is an expert. Okay, training should also be given. Okay, continue.
Any standardized test is accompanied by a manual which includes the psychometric properties of the test, norms, and references.
Okay, just underline that point. What all things are included in the manual? Psychometric properties of the test, that is what is the reliability and validity. Then norms and references are also given in the manual. Then
This gives a clear indication regarding the procedures of the test administration, the scoring methods, and time limits, if any, of the test. The manual also includes instructions to be given to the test
yes,
taker.
instructions are also given. The method to be administered, what are the scoring methods. If there is a time limit, then that is also mentioned in the manual. If there is a scoring key, we can use scoring keys to score certain psychological tests. That's very easy to use scoring keys. Okay, from that we can easily identify which is the correct answer, which is the wrong answer, if there is a correct answer and wrong answer, and then we can score accordingly. Okay, so that is about manual. Okay, continue.
A thorough understanding of the test taker, and the testing conditions is essential for the proper interpretation of test scores. Some information about the test given in the manual, like its reliability, validity, norms, etc., are relevant in interpreting any test score. Similarly, some background data about the individual being tested, test taker, are also essential. For example, the same score may be obtained by different individuals for different reasons. Therefore, the conclusions to be drawn from such scores may not be similar. Finally, some consideration must also be given to special factors that may have influenced a particular score, such as unusual testing conditions, temporary emotional or physical states of the subject, the extent of the test taker's previous experience with tests, etc. The test administrator also provides test takers with appropriate and understandable explanations of test results and any of recommendations stemming from them. It may be not clear that even when a test has been accurately administered, scored, and interpreted, providing merely specific numerical scores, example IQ score, aptitude score, etc., without the opportunity to discuss it further may be harmful for the test taker.
Okay, the last paragraph is dealing with the interpretation of results and also discussing that with the participant. Just like the experience that I told, They'll be curious to know what their score is. And just giving a numerical value is not enough. Means if you don't know, if you're not aware of the psychological attributes, and then you're not, imagine you're not studying psychology, you don't know anything about psychology, I'm just giving you a score. You have come to me to test anxiety and I'm giving you a score of 78. Will that make any sense? Will just a numerical value make any sense to you?
No.
No, right? No. So obviously we have to discuss that with the participant. We call it discussion. We have a part called discussion when we write the report of the psychological test. Okay. Discussion, conclusion, and then comes the reference. Usually results, discussion, conclusion, and reference. That's how we write. In discussion part, we elaborate on the results. In the results section, we just write about the values that we have got. We'll draw a table, and in that we'll put the values and we'll write in words. These are the results that we have got. That's it. Very small. And discussion, we'll elaborate what is the meaning of the results. Okay, what does this mean? How is this interpreted? What are the factors that might have led to this? And is this normal? Is this abnormal? Is this average value? Is this high average, below average? Why is this average? According to you, what do you think are the factors that might have caused this? Then during the test, how was the client? You'll observe them obviously during the test, isn't it? Of course you will. You have to. And you have to make note of all the changes. If they are feeling stressed and tensed, you have to note that. And in this discussion part, you'll write, you'll explain and describe about all of this. You can write, it was observed that the client was tense while doing the activity. It might be because the increased anxiety might be the reason for this. If they have got increased anxiety value, you can write like this. Actually, writing discussion part is an art. You have to elaborate on it. You have to note each and every point that happens in the whole process of psychological testing, and then put it into words in the last section. Discussion is the part that is very important in the test. That's the part where we get marks. UG and PG, it was the section that we get marks. Score, any score can be given. I can give you a score and I can ask you to interpret. That's easy. With the tables in the manual, we can easily interpret that. But what's important is how to interpret that in a way that can be conveyed to the participant or the others. Okay, and that comes in the part of discussion. All right, so that is about the introduction to test administration. And the coming section, we have procedure for test administration. The points to be noted: the following steps and guidelines are suggested to carry out practical work in psychological testing. That we'll see in the next class. And after that portion, we have some 8 points in that section. After that, back to the format, suggested format for writing a psychological testing report. And after discussing that format, or after discussing the 8 points, we'll see a test. Most probably a depression test. It's called BDI, Beck's Depression Inventory. Remember Aaron Beck? Aaron Beck? Have you heard of him? Anywhere? If yes, where? In which chapter did you hear about him, Aaron Beck?
The last chapter.
Therapy. Yes. When we learned about cognitive therapies, cognitive behavioral and all. Beck's theories on depression is very famous. Around schema, automatic negative thoughts, beliefs and all those things that comes in Beck's theory. So based on that, he has developed something called BDI, Beck's Depression Inventory. Okay, so most probably we'll be doing that as a sample test. And if it goes well, we'll include that as one test for term 1. All right. So that was about the introduction, and most of the points we have already discussed, isn't it, in practicals last year? Yes. Any doubts? Any doubts? Don't sit like statues. Tell me something. Any doubt? No. Okay. Do we have time to discuss the rest? Yes. So shall we move forward? Yes or no? Yes or no? Or is it enough for today?
Enough, ma'am.
Enough. Okay. Okay, then let's talk. Then we'll take the next portion. Tell me something. Do you have that format that I gave last year? You still have it or sold with the old books? Format. I gave you a format, isn't it, last year for writing the report? Do you have that written report of the test? Last year's test? Most probably we'll follow that format itself. But here in the textbook, that discussion part and all is not given. I don't know why. Or is it because I didn't see? Just see the format. Take page number 198. A heading called discussion is not given. Results and conclusion, that's the only heading given. It's better to write discussion because that's the main part of writing this report. Psychological test report. Okay. When you usually write the record, that is the other subjects, for the other subjects, you write in rough record and then only copy to the fair one, isn't it? Yes? Yeah. So obviously we'll have to do the same. And yeah, that's it. Anything else? Just a minute. Okay. Anything else to share? Any queries? No. Most probably from next week, we'll start a small revision of again our term 1 portions. Are you fed up of studying those 3 chapters? We have to, because we never know from which part of the textbook the questions will come, because the question paper is obviously from the board. So we have to start even from those boxes given in the textbooks, box 1.1, 1.2, all those boxes also questions might come. We never know. So we can start learning from the beginning again. Which chapter do you want to start with? 1, 2, or 3? Personality or stress or intelligence? Any preference? All the same. Okay, then I think we'll wind up if you don't have anything else to share. Should I wait? No. Okay, then. Thank you. Who's absent? Ashish, isn't it? Okay, thank you.